Welcome to Daily Wisdom, Walking the Path with the Buddha, a podcast shared by David Roylance. This podcast is dedicated to guiding you to completely eliminate the discontent mind and the suffering it causes by attaining enlightenment. Learn and practice the teachings of Gautama Buddha that will guide you to fully attain a peaceful, calm, serene, and content mind with joy. To support this podcast, visit patreon.com/support Buddha or visit buddhadailywisdom.com, where you will discover a full range of courses, retreats, and online learning resources to assist you on the path to enlightenment. Now, here's our teacher to share more.
Sawadee Kap. Hello and welcome to Daily Wisdom, Walking the Path with the Buddha. Today is our group learning program, and what I do on Wednesdays is I guide students in meditation, and then afterwards I open up to any and all questions that you guys might have related to the teachings of the Buddha. Whether you're joining us for the first time or you're joining regularly, welcome. Nice to see all of you guys here today. I'm going to guide you in a breathing mindfulness meditation session, which is a primary form of training that the Buddha used to move the mind to enlightenment. Of course, there's other things that you would need besides just meditation, but in terms of meditation, this is the primary meditation that he used to help him to attain enlightenment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with chanting to ease us into the meditation, and then after the chanting I'm going to come in with some guidance that's going to help you to be understanding how to meditate during the actual meditation itself. Then there's going to be a period of time where it's just quiet, and then I'll come out of the meditation with the chanting as well. And that's where I'm actually going to start opening up to any and all questions that you guys have. You'll be able to put those into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom. If you're in any of those places, you'll be able to ask questions. So I'd like to invite you to join for meditation by maybe pulling up a meditation cushion, by getting a chair or a bench or a sofa, or lying down or standing, any of these positions that you'd like to use. There's 4 positions: seated, lying, standing, and walking. And you can use any of these positions where seated, lying, and standing work really well for online learning. So if you're in the seated position, you might be sitting on the floor or sitting in a chair. You'd like your lower body to be comfortable, as well as your hands and arms. If the upper body is erect, this is really helpful to keep the mind attentive and alert during the meditation. It also helps you to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. So as I mentioned, I'm going to start with some chanting here, and then I'll come back in with some guidance to help you. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavanang Apivateyami Savakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Saṅghang Namami. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho วิชาจารนังสัมมุโนสคาโตโรกาวิตูอนุเตโรปุริสานามาสติสตาตาวามนุสนังโพโตภาควาติ With the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you just like to establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then, whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then, whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that the mind moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมหาเขวาพุทธังมหาเขวันนังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหาเขวตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาเขวโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิจาจารณังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิโตอนุเตโรปุริสานามาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังพุทโธภาควาติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, welcome to everyone here. Welcome to all of you guys that are joining us for the first time and those who've been joining regularly. If there's any questions that you guys have about meditation, the path to enlightenment, any aspect of the teachings of the Buddha, anything that you're challenged with about the path to enlightenment, anything that you would like to discuss or ask questions about, you're welcome to put that into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom. Or in Zoom, you can raise your hand electronically and ask any and all questions that you like. So I'm going to just turn things over to all of you guys and see what it is that you guys would like to ask about. It looks like Helena has a question in Zoom. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. And David, I remember a text from Buddha where he said that there is no way for a woman to be God the Creator, to be Mara, and to be a Buddha. And out of those three, I'm curious, why can't a woman be a Buddha?
So there are certain beings in the world that are of a certain gender. If you look in the world, there's like certain fish that are only females, or there's certain lizards that are only males, or something like this. And it's just the way that it is. It's not that the Buddha was saying that, in his opinion, that it's only can be this way. He's just saying this is the nature of the laws of existence. And not only was it Mara, God, a Buddha, but also he talks about Saka, the ruler of the heavenly beings. And I think, I can't remember if he talks about a wheel-turning monarch. I don't think he does. But anyway, one of the things you can look at here is because sometimes what people do is they think that the Buddha was sexist for saying something like this. But that's not the case. He's just describing true reality. And one of the ways that you can know that is that he even lists Mara, which is this unwholesome being, as being a being that can only be male, where sometimes people think that the Buddha was reserving certain positions in the world for males and only males could do that. He was just saying what true reality is, and you can see that because he's talking about Mara as well, which is, someone that, you probably wouldn't want to be, and, I wouldn't want to be, and nobody would be interested in being that being. But he was just saying that these beings can't be females just because of the nature of reality of the way that the world is functioning, just like these certain fish can't be males, and just like these certain lizards can't be females, for example. There are certain beings that are only of one gender because that's impermanence, right? If like every being had a male and a female, then that would be permanence. So we understand impermanence, that there's some beings that can only be females and some beings that can only be males.
Okay, but a Buddha is a human, so why can it be only a man?
It's just the way that it is, that a Buddha is always going to be a male individual. They're going to be of a male gender.
Okay. And I was also curious, why did you choose to wear all white and not something more practical like brown or green or gray?
It's not necessarily white. I didn't necessarily pick white or some other color, but I chose to wear simple clothing because prior to me going in this direction, I used to wear very expensive clothing, like $200 or $300 pair of jeans and $200 or $300 pair of shoes and shirts and things like this. And I knew I needed to adjust my life to live very minimally and very basic. And in order to do that, I knew of these clothes, that I used to wear these types of clothes when I was in America teaching Thai massage. I used to wear the types of pants that I wear now, and I would occasionally wear a shirt like this. They're very comfortable. They're almost like wearing pajamas, and it's only $5 for the shirt and $5 for the pants. So I was able to significantly reduce the amount of expense that I had. And it also helps you to realize non-self, to be able to just wear the same simple clothes all the time. There's other ways you can do it, like you've heard me talk, like stacking your clothes up and just picking off the top of the stack. But for me, I wasn't interested in having all these different colors. So I just standardized on one color. Here in Thailand, white is very popular color because they see it as a sign of purity. That's not why I started wearing white, but that's what they see it as. And then also they see people who wear white every day as someone who's practicing the 8 precepts, which means which means that you're not having sex. And that helps people to ensure that they know that, okay, this person is not having sex, so don't approach this person for that kind of thing. Not that anybody was approaching me for that kind of thing, but I didn't wear white because I wanted to advertise that I wasn't having sex, but it was just kind of a nice byproduct of that. It was more for reducing my expenses, and it was more for helping the mind to realize non-self. Those are the 2 reasons why I did it. But then there was these other benefits as well.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you. And I've got 2 more questions, but they are more elaborate. So please let me paste them into the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's no one else that's asking questions right now. So if you'd like to just say them, you can. But if you need to gather your thoughts and put them into chat, you can.
Okay. So they're in the chat already.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll just need to read them. Let's see. Okay, So here's your first one. Let me open this up a little bit. So your first one is saying, okay, imagine a scenario where a person manipulates another into killing a third person. Who gets the unwholesome karma for the murder? So both individuals are going to get the unwholesome karma, but an individual can't be manipulated into killing. It's ultimately a choice that somebody makes. Oftentimes we think that someone's being manipulated, but that individual is making a certain choice. Like, for example, if you could manipulate somebody to do something, that means no one could ever get to enlightenment, because an individual could just manipulate you to go do something. But if you have craving, anger, and ignorance in your mind, yes, you're more predisposed to doing unwholesome things, and you can be influenced to do unwholesome things, but people can't force you to do those unwholesome things. It's still a personal choice. But both individuals are going to be experiencing unwholesome karma because they both contributed to the murder of that person. They both participated in that action because there's certain craving, anger, and ignorance associated with that. Then you ask more here, if it's the killer who gets that gamma, while the manipulator only gets a tiny fraction of it, then where is the fairness in this mechanism? Yeah, it's not like that necessarily. And you shouldn't think about the natural law of gamma as fair, right? Because you've been doing this for the last day or two. You've been trying to compare like what gets more unwholesome karma versus another thing. And it's going to lead to madness and frustration, like the Buddha said, right? Like the Buddha said that if you try to discern the exact result of karma, it's going to lead to madness and frustration. And the same thing if you're looking for like what's fair. What's fair in the eyes of one person isn't fair in the eyes of another person. Whether something's fair or not is all relative. So you can rest assured that the natural law of karma is always functioning. It's affecting all of us, whether we're aware of it or not. And we will all experience our karma. Wholesome or unwholesome, we're going to experience it. There's no running and hiding from it. So no matter what someone chooses to do, they're going to experience the results of those. And if you want to talk about fairness, it's 100% fair because you're going to experience exactly what it is that you produced. And there's no way to run and hide from that whatsoever. Let's see. Also, does the victim get any karma, for example, phobias of being killed in their next life? The being killed is that person's karma, right? Because they associated with these certain people, they made certain decisions that led to that. Anything that you experience in life is always your karma. It's always a result of decisions. Whether they experience phobia in their next life or not, that's to be determined, right? You can't say that, okay, because someone was murdered in this life, they're absolutely going to experience phobias in their next life. You can't really do that because that would be, exact result of karma. That would be a permanent thing that everybody experiences this. So it's not to that level of detail that you can discern those kinds of things. Then you've got more here. Hell beings and Mara are interested in causing calamity in the world. I don't understand where exactly is the fun in that. How is it possible that seeing calamity makes them happy? Because they have a lot of ill will in their mind. And for someone who has ill will, oftentimes they take pleasure in other people experiencing pain. So you can see that in the human realm too. Like someone who has a lot of ill will, if there's somebody that's experiencing painful or difficult situations, they can take pleasure in that. They can get really happy because of someone else's suffering. This occurs in the human realm. And those beings that experience that, where they're happy for someone else's suffering, they're actually headed to the afflicted spirit realm, the animal realm, and the hell realm. That's exactly where they're headed because their mind in the human realm is functioning very much like a being in the lower realms. So you can have human beings who are functioning very much like heavenly beings, and you can see that they're very likely to be reborn in the heavenly realm if they don't get to enlightenment. You can see beings that are functioning like hell beings. You can see human beings that are functioning like animals, that are functioning like afflicted spirits, and you can see human beings that are functioning like human beings. And that's what you would essentially like to be functioning as. You would like to be functioning like a human being, and that's what the Buddha is helping you to be able to cultivate. So I think that's all yours there, Helena.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And just before I let go of this subject of karma, just one thing is coming to my mind, one more thing. When someone is murdered, but not because they are associating with like shady people, but they are, for example, like targeted by a serial killer who they don't know, then that must be like a karma from... What kind of karma is that, possibly?
It's always karma that you're experiencing. So even though we say karma from a previous life, right, it's actually all the karma that you're experiencing is from decisions that you're making in this life, but your cravings, desires, attachments can be from a previous life. So it's not like you've murdered someone in a previous life, so therefore you have to be murdered in this life, and that's the effect. It's you had certain cravings in your previous life. Those cravings and residual memories moved into this mind. And now in this life, you're making decisions that are leading to certain results. So it's not like this mystical, magical black cloud is following you around and like, aha, you murdered someone 3 lives ago, so therefore you're going to get murdered in this life. It's that you have these cravings, desires, attachments in your mind from your previous life, and now you're making decisions in this life that are leading to certain results. So if somebody, say, lives in an environment where there's a lot of craving, anger, and ignorance. That's decisions that they're making in this life. And now those individuals will potentially murder them, right? Like, people aren't unknowing of true reality about the crime rate in their community. It's very easy to find the crime rate in your community. And if you're living in a community where there's a lot of murder and robberies and rapes and stuff like this, it's a choice to continue to live in that community. Someone could choose to move out of that environment and go somewhere else. So oftentimes people think of these things as random events because they're not looking at the karma and the choices and decisions that led to any particular result. But that person is choosing to live in that place. They're choosing to function in that area and live among that population of people. And this situation, while it's unfortunate that they either get murdered or raped, it's certain decisions that were made that led to that. Now, some people think that, okay, this is victim blaming and this is like blaming the victim or something like this. Yeah, these people are experiencing the unfortunate results of somebody deciding to murder or rape them. But just blaming other people doesn't allow you to cultivate the wisdom of how to ensure that that doesn't occur again. If we just think of these as random acts and it's somebody else's fault, so to speak, then we never cultivate the wisdom to make different decisions. Whereas if we look at it and we're like, oh, this person lived in this part of the world and the crime rate is very high in that part of the world, they went out jogging at 11 p.m. at night, and oh my goodness, now they ended up murdered or raped, right? Now, they didn't deserve this. Sometimes people, when we talk about karma, they think like, oh, do you think the person deserved it? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is there's a sequence of events that led to any particular outcome. And if we look at those sequence of events, then we can make decisions that will change the way we do things and then change the results we experience. Now, if everybody in the world practiced these teachings, you could go out at 11 p.m. at night and have no issues about jogging, and nobody would murder you, nobody would rape you. You could go out at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. and do anything and everything that you would like to do, and the world would be a peaceful and loving place. But people need to recognize that's not true reality. That's not where we live. Sometimes people have wishful thinking that they can go out at these times of days and do things. And, you know, of course, murders and rapes can happen in the middle of the day, too. It's not just nighttime that these things occur. But there's certain decisions that we make that create and produce a situation that we're more likely to experience these things, right? And let's just say someone goes out at 11 p.m. Jogging, and let's just say they're listening to music while they're doing it, and they're not paying attention to their surroundings. They're not practicing singleness of mind. So there's like this stacking up of events that led to this particular result. And if we just look at other people and say, oh gosh, this is horrible, this murderer is so bad, yeah, it's unfortunate that this has occurred, but it's important to look at what are the decisions we can make to ensure that these things aren't happening. And the Buddha gives us the complete perfect plan to be able to do that. And then we just need to cultivate that wisdom, make those wise decisions, and experience improved results.
So you wouldn't say that there is something like in the energy that attracts those situations potentially, like law of attraction?
No, that law of attraction is not true. There's no such thing as the law of attraction. This is something that people talk about, and they talk about manifesting things and all this stuff. This is basically just taking things that have been taught in other places, like prayer and things like this, and now they're changing the words of it and making it something different. You can't pray to God and instantly become rich or famous or get your boyfriend back or find the perfect husband, and you can't manifest these things either. You can't just think it up in your mind and then poof, this magical person's going to come out of the air and you have this perfect husband. The way that you create any kind of wholesome results in your life is through wise decision making. If you were a friendly, warm, loving, and kind person, and you learn to talk well with people, and you go out into the world and you're meeting people, and you know how to use your wisdom to make wise decisions about who could potentially be a partner for you, then you can be successful at selecting a partner. But if someone doesn't have the wisdom to make wise decisions about who to include in their life, and they're maybe a bitter and harsh and hostile individual, they're not going to just sit on their sofa at home and manifest the perfect husband that poof, comes into their life. This is like wishful thinking. There's no such thing as law of attraction. It's everything you experience is a result of decisions that you're making. And the more that you're able to see that and see that interlinking cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect, the more your mind can awaken to the wisdom of the natural law, make wise decisions, and only experience wholesome results in your life. But it needs the individual to cultivate more and more wisdom of this natural law to be able to get to that point where you can fully awake to the natural law and then make wise decisions and eliminate all the unwise decisions.
Okay, thank you, Teacher David.
Yeah, you're welcome. And by the way, I'll just add to that, Helena, since we're talking about making wise decisions and producing wholesome karma, the reason why this all comes back to the individual is because it's all based on the pollution of the mind. If you're making decisions through craving, anger, and ignorance, you're going to experience unwholesome results. And if you're making decisions through generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom, you're going to experience wholesome results. So that's why there isn't any energy or outside force or law of attraction. It's all about the decisions that you're making. And with a polluted mind, you'll make unwise decisions that lead to unwholesome results. But with a purified mind, more and more, you'll experience wise decision making that leads to wholesome results. Okay, Vineet has a question here, maybe more than one. How do we implement Buddhist teachings practically in today's difficult, challenging modern world if we are troubled physically or mentally in both social and professional aspect? That's the whole premise of the teachings of the Buddha, that any difficulties and struggles that you're having in the world, his teachings are going to be able to help you to overcome those. So what you do is you just incrementally, slowly but surely implement these things. So you learn the Eightfold Path, which I know you're just starting to work on, Vineet, and that includes meditation, of course. And slowly but surely, you integrate these teachings into your life little by little. You're not going to be able to learn the teachings of the Buddha, snap your fingers, and instantly be practicing them perfectly. You're going to need to gradually implement them into your life. One of the ways you can think about this is like my fist is like the unenlightened mind. And this fist is like running forward based in cravings, desires, attachments. And you've got this parallel process, which is my other hand alongside here. And now this parallel process is your development of your life practice to be able to attain enlightenment. And slowly but surely, as your mind is running forward, you're building up this life practice slowly but surely, this parallel process, until eventually that life practice envelops the mind, and now you can fully control the mind because it's fully disciplined. So you gradually, slowly but surely implement each little individual teaching, and that's how you're going to then experience the elimination of mental difficulties and some physical difficulties too. Now, if somebody has like a traumatic brain injury where their mind can't function to the point of learning material and then practicing, they wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment during their life because they don't have the ability to learn, but they could potentially get to enlightenment at death. Or if somebody's physically impaired, where let's just say they can't see, they can't hear, they can't touch, right? And they can't feel anything. This person doesn't really have too many ways that I can know of that would allow them to bring content into their mind and be able to then learn. And this person would be hindered in this life to be able to attain enlightenment. But then they can potentially attain enlightenment at death or be reborn into an improved existence where they could then attain enlightenment at that point. But that's why we also have things for people who are blind. We have the ability to listen through podcasts and YouTube videos and audiobooks and things like this. For people who can't hear but they can see, we have books and people can read. And then for people who can't hear or see, then we have Braille, right? And we have methods for people to take in information. It's very rare that somebody wouldn't be able to see, hear, or feel things, right? So we have all these different methods for people to learn and grow and develop and take information in. And as they do, and you gradually, slowly but surely implement the Eightfold Path, you'll see gradual improvement to the condition of the mind. So remember, it's gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. It's not going to be instantaneous, and you just need to incrementally bring in pieces of the teachings here and there. And what I would suggest you do is start with right view and build up your understanding of the wisdom of right view. That's the three universal truths and the four noble truths. That's the place to start. Then you would like to start focusing on your moral conduct, improving your speech, your actions, and your livelihood. Because as long as you're putting out harm into the world, then harm's going to come back to you. It's kind of like a water pipe has burst in your house and now it's spewing water all over your house. You're not going to go clean up the water first. You're going to go to the pipe and shut down the pipe so it's no longer spewing water into the room. And that's what you would like to do with your moral conduct, is you'd like to shut down the unwholesome moral conduct so you're not spewing water any longer. You're not spewing unwholesome karma. You're not making unwise decisions around your moral conduct. So if you've established right view, which takes a bit for people to establish right view, you would like to then improve your moral conduct, and you'd like to be adding in meditation as well. And this is going to really help you. There's something called the way of practice that are very simple things that you can be doing on a day-to-day basis that the Buddha taught to do. He taught to practice generosity, because that's training the mind to eliminate craving, desire, attachment. Generosity is where you're giving and sharing without any expectation of anything in return. Then you're working on your moral conduct. You need to improve your right speech, your right action, and your right livelihood. Then the third thing is that you need to do meditation. These are the three things that you should be doing on a daily basis. Practicing generosity in whichever ways you can, sharing your time, effort, energy, and resources without any expectation of anything in return. Be working on your moral conduct to improve how you're interacting with other beings in the world. And then develop a meditation practice. These are the three things you would like to be doing on a daily basis. And all the while, there's other teachings that you're going to need to learn and practice in order to actively train the mind. Okay, let me see if we have any questions anywhere else. Okay, looks like we have a question coming in again from Vinit. I understood. Thanks, Teacher David, sir. And what if someone else is harming us physically out of their anger or enmity towards us? In this situation, we cannot tackle them by using our mental wisdom. In that situation, I advise students to get away, right? Like, there's no reason for you to stay in that situation. If somebody's trying to attack you physically, if you can get away, that's the ideal thing. But if for some reason you can't get away, that's where you're going to need to potentially cause harm to this individual in order to stop the harm that's coming to them. But that harm that's coming to them is only coming to them because of them choosing to cause harm to you. So if you just sat there and let somebody beat you up, this wouldn't be showing loving kindness and compassion to this being who you are. Because in order to have loving kindness and compassion for any beings, you need to have loving kindness and compassion for this being first. So if somebody's coming and they're punching you, the first thing I suggest you do is run and get away. But if you've got ego in there and you've got craving and clinging and ill will, that's going to be very hard for you to do. But that's what you would like to do, is just run away. And if you can't run away for any reason and you need to get a stick or a knife or a gun or something like this and protect this body, do the least amount of harm as possible in order to stop this attack from coming. And this is why you won't experience harm coming back to you. That if somebody was, say, trying to truly murder you, for example, and you ended up having to kill that person, you're not going to experience any unwholesome karma in that situation, because you've done it with the intention of having loving kindness and compassion for this being. Now, the government's probably going to ask you questions and people will look at you in certain ways, but you can understand that, you know, you did the right thing, you did the wise thing, because to sit there and let this person kill you isn't actually going to be wise. So you're going to need to maybe protect this being in some situations. But the thing that's going to protect you the most in any and all situations is your wisdom. Because there's certain decisions that somebody's making that's leading to them being in a situation where they could be harmed. So for example, let's just say we go out at 12, midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and we go to a bar and we're drinking and using drugs and alcohol. And now the bar closes at 2 a.m. and we're standing out in the middle of the street as the bar is emptying out, and somebody walks up to us and punches us or stabs us with a knife or shoots us with a gun. Well, there was a whole series of decisions that were made there that led to that thing happening. Going out late at night, going to a bar, choosing to drink and use drugs and alcohol, associating with people who use drugs and alcohol. These are all unwise decisions that's leading to that specific result. So if you're making wise decisions and you're going to need to cultivate wisdom to be able to do that, that's your best protection, right? A knife, a gun, things like this. those are only going to protect you in situations where someone's coming at you. But if you're making wise decisions, you won't have anybody coming at you. So for example, at one time here in Chiang Mai, I used to lock our doors, have double locks, CCTV cameras all over the place, because of the type of work that I was doing at that time. That's the fear that I had, that somebody was going to come and attack us, right? So that's why I put up all this security. I used to even have bodyguards that would carry guns and things like this. But then when I stopped doing all those unwise things and I started practicing the teachings of the Buddha and I cleaned up all my karma, now we don't even lock the doors of our house. When we even go on holiday, we go on vacation. My son and I went away for 5 days in July. We didn't even lock the doors of the house. We just left it unlocked, right? So if you're not causing harm, then no harm is going to come to you. And I'm fully confident that I've extinguished all my unwholesome karma. So that's why we can sleep with the doors unlocked and open, because I know nobody's going to come in here and harm me, because I'm not making any unwise decisions that's causing harm to anybody whatsoever. And I've made a choice to live in a place where it's safe. And I know that there's not going to be anybody that's coming to do harm to this body. So it's all about cultivating wisdom, making wise decisions, because it's your decisions that are leading to any particular result you're experiencing. So you would like to make only wise decisions that are leading to wholesome results. Okay, I'm going to check YouTube and Facebook one more time. All right, I don't see anything there. So I'm going to just end class here by thanking all of you guys for joining, and at the same time invite you guys back to our future classes where you can learn and practice the teachings of the Buddha on Sunday, Wednesday, and Saturday. These are the regular classes that we have. And then there's various courses and retreats throughout the month and throughout the year that you can learn and practice the teachings. You're welcome to attend them here in Chiang Mai. You're welcome to attend by live streams. We have recordings where you can access all of these things, and you can even get personal guidance as well. So thank you all for your questions. Thank you for your interest in learning and practicing, and perhaps we'll see you guys in a future class. Be well and have a lovely rest of your day. Take care. Sawadee ka.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To provide support for this podcast, visit patreon.com/support Buddha. To access more teachings, visit buddhadailywisdom.com. There, you will discover a full range of courses, retreats, and online resources to assist you on the path to enlightenment. Remember to establish a daily, consistent meditation practice, along with learning and practicing these teachings. A well-developed meditation practice is the foundation in which to train the mind to attain enlightenment.